Oh, I can't wait for show and tell. Let's just like dive into this. So I'm just gonna
I think it sounds good.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Spencer Barksdale to the Ponytail Show. Welcome.
Well, hello, Lauren, and the Ponytail Show, and all the amazing viewers out there.
Yes, they're very amazing to be listening to this very niche podcast in the corner of the internet. But it's been very interesting. More and more people are like actually listening and like giving feedback and like just being part of the ride. It's been pretty cool. Since like the podcast I had with you, which was like months ago already.
Yeah.
A little podcast universe, Ponytail podcast universe is flourishing like mushrooms in the forest. It's beautiful. Thanks to lovely people like yourself.
Well, and a wonderful leader like yourself.
Good.
Since I last spoke with you when we were already in very turbulent times, we are really lucky as a group of people during our lives to go through even more turbulence.
Yes, we are so lucky. And, you know, that's why you had this awesome idea for the theme this podcast, which is, would you like, I'm going to drum roll. What's the theme, Spencer?
No, I asked my parents for drums when I was 10 years old one time, and the thing that would happen on our birthdays is my mother would slip like a birthday card under our pillow when we were sleeping.
Aww.
So you would open it up, and that would be your first thing, and then everybody would wake up, and then you'd get presents. Well, I can still remember it so clearly because it sucked. I opened the card up, and it was like one of those cards where you can sort of turn a little knob to your birthday. So it was turned to 10, and it was like, here's your set of drums. So I didn't get any drums.
It was the card. Thanks, Mommy. Thank you, Mommy.
Like, this is what I'm up against, seriously. But I think they found that I was so fucking annoying anyways. That they're like, seriously, if we have drums in the house, that's just going to be a drag for everyone. But bringing drums into it, which was something exciting and creative, and there was a sense of, there is such a sense of freedom by playing music and getting inspired by music, right?
Beautiful.
And it's just allowing creativity to flow from your body, it's just so unbelievable. And that's where you and I were talking the other day about freedom. And we have certainly seen over the past, for a little while, certainly in the United States, freedom has really been checked, and, I don't want to make any like, oh, well, I believe in this, somebody else believes in that. But
no, we're tired of that anyway. We're all tired, okay? We don't need to know people's political point of views anymore.
Totally. But what we were discussing, and it kind of tied into a little bit of our last discussion together, was fashion and clothing and how it is a sense, it allows us to be a sense of who we are. And one of the key expressions really are T-shirts and sweatshirts. And it pretty much says it like it is. I mean, look at yours. Can we see yours?
Okay. So today, everyone, I'm wearing a green and yellow T-shirt given to me by our dear friend, Eric Kavatek. Thank you very much, Eric. And it says,
Eric.
Hi, Eric. And it says ugly, mean, and nasty, which was very appropriate. It was a very appropriate gift to me from Eric. And so what are you wearing today?
Well, I'm wearing one that I had actually showed in the last one, which is a Run DMC, and with the glasses at the bottom. And I mean, Run DMC, when they came out, I mean, they were pretty hardcore. I mean, coming from a predominantly white background and white neighborhood, it was someone that was just not it. I didn't really listen to them. And it wasn't until I kind of got into leaving my home where it was like, wow, this band is really cool. They're out there, they're throwing some, a bunch of they're throwing a bunch of creativity out to us.
Yeah.
They're giving us a point of view. They are standing up for who they are. And so to me, this represents that time in the 80s for me where it was like, wow, I'm breaking free of my past a little bit, and being encouraged to go into different directions and stand up for myself and be our true selves.
Hell yeah.
That's certainly that's certainly something that we're learning all through our lives. I mean, some people say, oh, when you get to your 60s or whatever, you're all, you know everything that it's about. I don't believe that. I just feel like as you're someone who grows, you are constantly learning and constantly figuring out what you stand for.
And the world is constantly evolving. It's not like the world stays stagnant in one kind of state. The world is constantly changing. Therefore, as it changes and we change, we have to kind of go with the flow and evolve together with the universe that we live in. I want to just give a little framework to, our conversation about freedom today, because I feel like a lot of people have very different interpretations of what freedom means to them. And I feel like in this little niche corner of the internet, where mainly on my podcast, we talk about creativity, we talk about self-expression and art and culture and fashion, guys, freedom to us, freedom to me means just that beautiful ability to express your true self and kind of know your true self and discover who you are and be able to express that in the most creative, weird, wonderful, wacky, whatever the hell way you want to do it. And that is what makes the world beautiful. That's what I think freedom is. What do you think freedom is, Spencer Barksdale?
Well, I love that. I mean, it's within the vernacular of what we're talking about. I wrote down a couple things, and I don't want to trash my mother. I love her very much. And I love my family very much. But I remember, the Gap used to be a retailer where you could go in there, you could buy jeans, you could buy other stuff, but then they had this t-shirt area that you could go and pick your color t-shirt and you could have heat pressed graphic you wanted. Nice. And I was getting ready to go off to camp for the summer. And so my mother took me to the Gap and she was like, you can have whatever t-shirt that you want. I picked the baby blue t-shirt. I picked an image of Tweety Bird. And she goes, Tweety Bird. And I go, yeah. And she goes, now, are you sure you want Tweety Bird? And I said, yes, that's what I want, And I think that was probably one of the very first times that I was like, no, this is what I want. This is a freedom of expression.
Yes.
I don't give it, Tweety Bird is this yellow, weird little bird with big feet. I'm like, totally different thing. I feel like she was kind of going into another direction of what it meant. Maybe it was a little feminine for a boy to be wearing Tweety Bird, but I got it and I love that t-shirt.
Beautiful.
years later, when I lived in Destin, Florida, which was my junior year of college, I got this T-shirt from the Hog's Breath Saloon that said "Suck the head and eat the tail." It was all about crawfish,
That's
right?
so good. Oh, so is the Hog's Breath Saloon in America, is that where you eat crawfish? I remember there was a chain in Australia called this Hog's Breath Cafe, and I just remember them for curly fries. That's all. But I love the fact that this one made a T-shirt that said "Suck the head and what, the tail?"
Eat the tail. And so, I mean, hey, I'm out proud gay. I had no idea that there might be another point of view behind it. I just thought it was cool. Again, it was a little bit of a turquoise color, so it was sticking with that light blue element that I liked. And I got it home, and it was one of my favorite T-shirts. And again, my mother was like, I don't like that T-shirt, but I was defiant, and I just thought it was best. And I wish I still had it, but I just rubbed it till it was, until it was raw. But, I just wore it out till it was scraps,
I'm sure at the end of its days it looked real beautiful with some good holes.
Faded and gorgeous and beautiful. But it really is a way, we see it in everyday life, of sweatshirts and T-shirts and what people are wearing. And it just represents a little bit of yourself, of who you are. And I think, and certainly people can not appreciate it. They can be offended by it, and they can also love it, and they can see that there's a sense of humor into it or whatever it is, So it's really an amazing piece of fashion history that really shows us who we are. And now we see so many luxury brands doing T-shirts, and so it's really something that it's a mainstay of who we are and what we wear, just like jeans are too.
Absolutely. Well, I feel like that's a perfect segue into Ponytail show and tell.
Yes, I love it.
Let's start. So Spencer, for folks who are listening, Spencer behind him has curated a beautiful pile of slogan T-shirts and sweatshirts to his right and left. So I think you should take it away, and with each T-shirt I'm sure comes a beautiful story of self-expression and freedom.
Well, thank you. And Lauren and I had sort of brainstormed on this before it. And she came up with an awesome idea of like, why don't you wear a bunch of T-shirts and then you can sort of do a strip tease? Well, I think I have like 4 T-shirts on.
Okay, let's start with the ones on you.
Hot as hell right now, even though it's snowing outside.
It is getting steamy in here.
Sure is. It always gets steamy on the Ponytail turtle shirt, doesn't it? The first one that I'm wearing is a white T-shirt with the Run DMC logo on it. And like I said, they were just, they are fighters, and they fought for what they believed in and music, and changing and uprooting music a little bit and allowing just so many different people to enjoy their sound. And they're kind of rebellious sound. And T-shirts are sort of rebellious,
Yeah. I mean, I never quite got into them, but I just remember those crispy white Adidas sneakers that they'd wear. That's like
and black leather jackets and chains.
Oh, yeah. And bucket hats.
Yeah. Yes. How awesome were they? So that's my first one. Then
Spencer is just stripping off layer 1. And we have a cute, what's his name? Rilakkuma bear.
Yeah.
t-shirt.
Yeah.
A Rilakkuma, I can't believe I remembered the name. Rilakkuma bear t-shirt. He's wearing headphones and listening to a little discman and eating onigiri, which is little Japanese rice balls. Tell me about this, Spencer. Why did you choose this t-shirt?
I go to this thrift store. I have a little house in Northwest Connecticut in a town called Sharon. And there is this place called the Bargain Barn, which just rocks the house. And it's so weird that what they have there can be so specific to what times are going on right now. And so, I mean, I got this a little while ago. I think I had been laid off at Ralph Lauren, and, you know, I was just kind of circling, looking through, laid off during COVID. Things were kind of like, okay, everything sucks right now, you know? And, you know, I was like, I'm not working out, like my body feels, my sides are definitely bigger than black angles. And I was like, I just want a nice, comfortable, big t-shirt. And this is a white t-shirt. The graphic is
so
the
cute.
Animal itself is kind of almost like a dark mustard color and almost butterscotch, I guess you could say.
Oh, yeah, that's a good word for that.
And, you know, it was just playful and it's childish. And, you know, it was just like listening to music and eating some Japanese food. And I was just like, this is perfect for me right now because it'll just make me feel better. And one of the things that, as we talk about freedom, having the sense of your inner child, which I know sounds really kind of like, okay, now we're getting into therapy and stuff, but the inner childness and the childlike elements of those that we have just help you feel better, you know, and it makes you, it takes the weight of the world away a little bit. And I don't know about you, but we connect. I'm a pretty immature person. So, you know.
Yeah, that's probably why we reconnect. But like, honestly, I think like it's funny that you got into, you know, when we're talking about freedom, you got into the inner child, because I went there too. Like, I totally went there. Like, I went to basically this, I kind of felt like the freedom to have a tantrum, the freedom to just be like, life is shit right now. I'm going to be a big sook and, like, you know, throw a tantrum at home, and that's okay. I feel like those moments in life, we need those moments in life so that we can, you know, we can express, you know, we can live alongside people in a nice way. Once we've had those tantrums, you know, at home, wearing our Rilakkuma t-shirt, eating onigiris with headphones on, you know, like sometimes we just need to like take care of that little inner child of us so that we can just, you know, keep on going. That's a beautiful thing.
And I mean, I don't know. Do you watch Big Mouth at all?
I want to get into it. I keep seeing it on Netflix. Is it good?
It's so crazy and messed up and so funny. And I just feel like what it reminds me of is some of my childhood and just acting absolutely out of control with my friends, making movies, you know, just doing a bunch of stupid shit, running around the neighborhood and being foul, you know, and that is an element of childhood that is freedom too, you know, so you're able to be like, rah! You know, and it's so nice that way. Even like you said, if you are having a tantrum, you can tantrum it out, you know, and be like, all right.
Yeah,
then
totally.
All of a sudden you're in the ice cream truck and you're like, yeah.
Yeah,
you know,
totally.
So
what's next?
Also, many of my purchases are from the Bargain Barn. This is a Peter Frampton.
Beautiful.
t-shirt
looking
that
at this
is light heather gray.
Light heather gray, beautiful, like graphic with turquoise and burnt orange and guitars and frizzy hair. And it's so glam, right? It's like a mixture of 70s, like retro looking diner font and like glam rock all in one.
Totally. Oh my God, I love the diner element of
There's
it.
like the diner font in the middle. It's beautiful. It's got a bit of like retro, like 50s diner in there. So tell me about what's going on here. What's going on here, honey?
Well, to me, the part of the music T-shirt has been a mainstay in T-shirt design and graphics, and going to concerts is such a, when we get back there too, is such a sense of freedom because you're going with a group of people who are all super excited to see this artist, and this genius at what they do, and get up on the stage, and you can let go everything that's been going on, and you're able just to chill. Not necessarily chill out, but just explode with energy at these concerts, and Peter Frampton in the 70s and the 80s, it was just mega concerts, and he would be up there, he would be like, 2 inches high, especially if you're up in the nosebleed section. But it was still, you were like dancing, in your seat, and people joints around, and people like who brought in their alcohol, and so there was just a rebellious element to it. And I think even with the Run DMC T-shirt too, it's this rebelliousness, is that the right word? That is exuding this sense of freedom and something that you're able to break with from your day-to-day roles.
Oh, totally. Don't you think when you were describing like just being at a concert, I think like, the fact that concerts been taking, live music and going to concerts have really been taken away from us. And it's made that, what the feeling of freedom is to me? It's like being able to like express your weird, dark weirdness that exists in all of us, and being able to show that to the world and have the world accept that as you. That's you, and that's okay. Isn't that, to me, that's the feeling of freedom in itself. It's like a feeling of like, just, it's that fear of like, that fear of showing this darkness of weirdness of yourself to the world, but then also being accepted by a community once you've shown it. Like, I don't know, that's to me just one of the great things about freedom and the great things about music and expression and retro diner 80s glam rock t-shirts in heather gray.
At concerts, they pumped out the T-shirts, right? Yeah. It was like, because they were making mega bucks of clothing, concert clothes. Yeah. And so just kind of how you brought it together, I'm sure Peter Frampton wasn't like, I'm writing all my lyrics at this diner, so let's engage in some diner graphics. But people were just like, fuck it.
Yeah, let's just get this.
And there is a freedom in that also of like, let's just do these colors together and stuff like that. And so it also is, it allows, a T-shirt allows people sometimes to definitely express themselves. There are people who don't align with it. I feel like sometimes
that's okay.
Yeah, and
that's
some
okay.
people can get pissed off at it, but it's like, but it's mine, you know, this is what I hold true to myself and what I'm expressing here. And that's part of our freedom to be able to do that.
Just good disclaimer here for everyone listening. We're talking about creativity and beauty and art and music. We're not talking about t-shirts with, like, I don't know, Confederate flags on them and like really awful dark histories and things, because, you know, people can really, you know, nowadays people can really take an idea and twist it into whatever the hell they want it to be. And, you know, that's also a danger of the misinterpretation of freedoms as well. But, you know, that's a whole nother kettle of fish. Time to strip off another layer, Spencer.
All right, so now this one I also got at the Bargain Barn. Now this is just a very simple tie-dye t-shirt.
It looks like a sunset.
I know. Sometimes I feel it makes me look naked from from the top, and it almost looks like I'm wearing a tube top, because the top of the tie-dye, it is kind of a dip dye, the top is a little bit almost skin colored for a Caucasian. And but, you know, the reason why I wore the tie-dye is because I used to go to Grateful Dead concerts all the time. And so tie-dye was just all over the place. But, you know, during I don't know when tie-dye came into popularity, but certainly in the 60s.
I think it was, for sure, the LSD experiments in the 60s with the electric acid Kool-Aid tests and the crazy school bus and you know, like that kind of psychedelic experimentation. I think that's definitely like that, plus the Vietnam War protests. I mean, they kind of go hand in hand with the counterculture, like the anti-Nixon, anti-Vietnam War counterculture. But I think that was the tie-dye debut, and it never went away because it's such a beautiful thing, tie-dye, isn't it? You just look like one big sunset right now.
Well, thank you. You know, as what you're saying too, I think it was just also, you know, innovation and creativity and art that people were able to easily do. You know, you could get a t-shirt for nothing, you know, and then you could experiment with different colors to just make you feel like you accomplished something. You worked on a cool little project, you know, and then you were able to show it to people, and people are like, wow, that's pretty. And then you're like, yeah, I did it, you know? And so there is that feeling of freedom that you are able to be like, I did it myself. I came up with it. You don't have to have art hanging in the Whitney or the MoMA or whatever. It just shows that you can be an artist no matter who you are, you know? And I think, and that was part of that time too, that it seemed like there was this very grassroots element of going on, of collectives and people kind of like doing it together. And there was a peacefulness behind it within their own thoughts. So that's why I brought this up. Now, otherwise I would literally I would expose my nipples. So I'm on.
Okay, good idea.
I'm going to show, well, you've never seen my nipples before, you don't know. But I'm going to keep going with some. There is a vintage dealer in Colorado. His name is Britt Eaton. And Britt and I, when I was working at Ralph Lauren, he was just a genius for me. And I could go and find all sorts of vintage goods from him. He would also send us boxes of vintage for inspiration. But when I went to visit him, he has these huge warehouses where if you're sort of a thrifter and a pack rat, you know, you could just go in there and find wonderful things. So of course I would end up buying some things for myself too. And so this is a t-shirt that says the Gold Rush, Thursday's dollar pictures. So it's black with gold graphics. And, you know, it just made me think how important bars and restaurants are to our communities and to our freedoms. And they really allowed you to show people where you'd been, what you're up to, and certainly alcohol was a big part of that too, because the drinking, just like going back to the hog's breath, you know, suck the tail, they had to eat the tail. It's always been a little tongue-in-cheek, you know, and so this provided that element.
It also shows like every place has like a different version, a different kind of take on comedy as well, and tongue in cheek, and everyone expresses their woes in different ways and their happiness in different ways. I love that idea of like the souvenir tee, the like, you know, the merch tee, you know, they're all just like expressions of our collective community into the open. So what we're looking at is a black t-shirt, and there's this kind of like old kind of like cowboy font, says the Gold Rush. Yeah, I love it. Thursday's dollar pictures.
Thursday's dollar pictures. And the fabric is so soft. I mean, you know, you will find vintage tees that are cotton, and then some that are cotton poly, and the poly cotton ones can be really soft and drapey. And
I can almost see through yours. It's so beautifully worn in. I can see through the back of it. Yeah, it's almost translucent.
Yes. As we continue down the alcohol path, a friend of mine got this for me, and it is the Betty Ford Clinic t-shirt. So certainly the Betty Ford Clinic had some t-shirts made up.
Wow. Why not?
And, you know, certainly, hey, there's parts of this that are, you can look at it, they can be very funny and like tongue-in-cheek. But at the same time, for people who were really going through rehab and really working on themselves and getting themselves together, you know, this was emblematic of I'm helping myself. I am working through a lot of problems to probably gain a freedom that they had lost, or, you know, that had gotten out of hand for them. So, you know, there's a couple of elements how you can look at this, which I guess is the way you can look at everything. You know, this is a very light blue t-shirt. The Betty Ford Clinic in Beverly Hills, California itself is very faded, 100% cotton, but it just shows the juxtaposition of how people look at things, really.
Absolutely. That is such a beautiful way of putting it. Thank you, Spencer. That was so nice. Really.
Well, you know, thank you. And another one that I found at the Bargain Barn, this is a black.
This is basically just a big sponsored ad for the Bargain Barn, which is not sponsored at all.
And you guys, if you're going to come and try to sift through it all, you know what? Fuck it, because they raised their prices. So many more people are coming in there, and it's really one of those places you have to go every day to see what they have.
But that's like the most fun part of going back to the same spot when they get a new lot of things in, and it's like a new store again, and you get to like just dig and dive through it. So tell me about this t-shirt here. It's like a silhouette of a hand doing a peace sign, and there's a British flag in the middle, and it says London something.
It just says London.
It just says London.
London, UK.
London, UK.
Yes. And I mean, this one it's not that old, really, but it's, black t-shirt.
I know where, like, I've seen this t-shirt before, and I've definitely seen this on Piccadilly Circus, like, being sold on the side of the road. Like 5 years ago.
It would be like, it's probably like 40 pounds now to buy. And you'd be like, I don't want that shit. But when you get it at a thrift store and it's just your size and it's worn nicely, it's like, okay, I'll get that one.
Yeah,
and honestly, I like this one quite a bit. And there's the sign of peace on it, which I love. And there's a representation of freedom for me, which is peace sign. And peace sign is also, peace sign has also been a little bit used sometimes as a fuck you to others.
Yeah.
Nah, this is me, so I like that element of it too.
Yeah, because you don't know if it's a forwards piece or a backwards piece too. You can't tell. Hey.
True.
Flipping it up.
I don't really know. I didn't really know that. Is there really?
I think the backwards piece is also like a flip off.
Yes, you're right. Well, I'm going to use it as a backward piece then.
Yeah, do that.
But to you, Lauren, Yates, it's a frontward.
Thanks.
This next T-shirt was given to me, actually. This is also a cotton poly yellow Heehaw T-shirt. It's with a graphic of a very stupid donkey with a hat on. He also looks like he has a carrot top hair. And Heehaw is sort of inscripted in kind of a very country, home-built.
Oh, yeah. Like a cartoony country, like a comic strip that would be set in a Western setting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure of the viewers and the listeners out there. Heehaw was a big show on TV, a country, it really had a lot of country Western stars. And it was also very funny. It had a huge comedy element to it. And I think it was really in the 70s. And it was one of my father's favorite television shows. And I mean, it was a little bit sexist because all the girls would have gingham tops and their chests.
As were most shows of the era,
Exactly, and they wore Daisy Dukes and stuff like that, and with their hairs done up. But so I can imagine one of the reasons why my father liked it. But he also loved country music, and he just thought it was a great show, and so it reminds me of him a lot. And because I was in Japan with a good friend of mine when I worked at Tommy Hilfiger many years ago, back in the mid 90s. And I actually went to Japan quite a bit for inspiration, which was amazing. And my friend worked at Levi's. He and I were joking around on a bus. His name is Michael Abbey. He and I were joking around on a bus as we were making our way through Tokyo. And we were thinking it'd be fun to come up with a line of clothing. One of the things we had come up with, Raggedy Ann.
Mm-hmm.
We thought it would be fun to do because the male version of Raggedy Ann is Raggedy Andrew. So we wanted to do a whole line of clothes around Raggedy Andrew and call it Rag Andrew. So that was one of our things. And then we came up with a line of clothes around Heehaw and called it Heehaw Melancholy. Well, when I left Tommy Hilfiger. I went traveling around for a little bit, which was fantastic. And I came up with a line of clothing called Heehaw Melancholy. It was when there were juicy T-shirts, the women juicy T-shirts were big, but they were mainly just doing T-shirts that had just a touch of fashion to them. There was a brand called Michael Stars that was kind of doing the same thing. And I thought, well, let me try to take those ideas and just give it one more step of fashion to it. So I made it a little bit more fashionable. And I ended up selling at Fred Siegel and Saks and Barney's and Bendel's. So, it was somewhat successful, which was great. And unfortunately, 9/11, really messed up a lot of small businesses and just really created a lot of havoc for the world. But I did take an old APC T-shirt because it was women's clothes, Heehaw Melancholy, and and let's not forget the long sleeve T-shirt because that's also important. And the 3/4 T-shirt. Now, I don't know if you can see this, but this is one of the graphics that I had done. It was, Amy, this very talented designer that I worked with at Levi's, her name is Amy Balkin. She developed some of the graphics for me for the first line. And I had this idea that I wanted to do a story about two lesbian ponies and fell in love. And the whole story was about them falling in love, getting hot for each other. And then
I can see that now.
They broke up with each other. Well, here the ponies that are in like a gold coloring are all into each other, and they're very excited and energetic. So then we kind of wanted to calm them down a little bit because they're getting so heated, and we put blue Valium pills on top of the ponies. So it kind of gives this interesting dichotomy around it.
If that's not freedom, I don't know what freedom is, Spencer.
Well, and that was the thing, thank you, and working for corporate America, this was a way to actually get it out there and be like, hey, this is me a little bit, and when you would tell these stories to the salespeople, because, everybody loves to hear a story, right? And they're like, wait a minute.
What?
But they liked it.
That's the most fun part.
Yes, I'm going to go a little quicker here because I think I don't know how we're...
I can see you have a big pile of those T-shirts. Yeah. Okay. So,
this is Keen Eyes. There was a movie about I forget there was an artist, Keen. Anyways, it's black T-shirt. This girl with big eyes. The artist did a lot of art back I think it was in the 50s or 60s of children with really big.
Oh, I remember. Yeah.
And they were very kind of spooky looking almost. And so this is one of those. And I put a little pin on one of their eyes, if you can see the.
Oh, even more creepy. It's like now it's turned into an emo Keen Eyes.
Yes. And I used to have this old Helmut Lang like sheer T-shirt that I used to wear over the Keen Eyes. So then kind of created this slight transparency that was spooky.
It's moody and spooky.
Also at the Bargain Barn, long sleeve black T-shirt.
I love this one.
It's The Wiz.
The Wiz.
And The Wiz was a Broadway play. I think all the actors were African Americans, and it was, an African American take on The White Wizard of Oz. And I remember, I didn't see it as a play, but I saw it in the movies, and Michael Jackson was in it, and what's her name? I'm forgetting.
The design is so cool, though. Like the colors. the colors, like the graffiti font, the gradient, you know, on this, and also the sleeves. Can you show us the sleeves? For people listening, it's a long sleeve, very worn in, you know, vintage tee. The front has like a brick wall, and it's got the whiz in kind of graffiti writing and beautiful ombre, bright colors. And then the side, it says the School of the Arts, I think, on the sleeve.
The Blake School of the Arts.
The Blake School of the Arts. But that's a beauty. That's a real beauty.
And it's really, the screen print is very heavy, so it's cracking and it's very thick. It's, you know, kind of a plastisol, but the whiz to me was Diana Ross was in it as well. It was just something that it took the Wizard of Oz to a whole new level and just made it hip and cool and interesting and fantastic, and I just loved it. And so for me, it was really fantastic.
I love that one.
Another one from the Bargain Barn.
Beautiful.
It says, it's white, that says trans women belong here, and the beginning of each letter is red, outlined in black, and then the rest of the letters are just in a very simple black font. But, you know, again, just freedom for expression and who you are. And it's
and
just
that belonging that, you know, that I was this sense of being accepted and being people just being able to receive you for just whatever or whoever or however you are. I feel like that feeling is really nicely, you know, expressed there.
Yes, I mean, and this one, you can tell that it was a heat press, you know, done really, you know, the heat press around the actual font itself is totally going, it's going yellow from the age of it.
I see.
But it's just nice that, you know, here someone was like, this is me. I'm going to just tell you who I am and what I believe in. And I'm sure whoever wore this got a lot of flack for it, but I'm sure that they were also totally embraced by it. And I just love that idea that someone was embraced for it. And so when I wear it to embrace my own individuality and to the others that express themselves for it.
Yeah. Beautiful. I love that.
Speaking of freedom and not having freedom, I don't know do you remember who Robin Bird is? Do you know who she is?
I have no idea. Please tell. Please tell.
Robin Bird used to have this. She had the Robin Bird show on cable access television in New York called Channel J, and she would basically interview scions of New York nightlife and of the adult entertainment industry.
Oh, cool.
And she was also very big in helping censorship. You know, because people really tried to bring her down because she was showing strippers on her television show. And you know, so people weren't cool with that, you know.
Yeah, right.
She fought censorship, and she was like, no, this is fine for us to have this. This is freedom for us on television. And she wore this crochet bikini, and she would wear these cowboy boots. And at the beginning of the show, she would say, lie back and get comfortable. And then you would watch the show. Okay, so as a gay guy, there on Sunday nights, she would always have male strippers. And so I was kind of like, and so I would sneak around, I was able to watch, I had this TV and I could watch her show on Sunday nights. And it just, you know, it's like, oh my God, this is so cool.
Yeah.
You know, so this is Robin T-shirt.
Specialty. Yeah.
She has a place in Fire Island, and my friends, I guess they had a little bit of a lover spat because of this T-shirt.
Oh
So
my.
it brings up bad news for them. So they were like, I said, well, I'll take it. And they said, well, you can have it. And that's like,
It's the child of the divorce.
Yeah, that's exactly. And she wrote on it, and it says, love always, Robin Bird. Another one from the Bargain Barn, trans women belong here as well. So another statement tee in honor of all of our trans friends out there. And all of those who are struggling to protect their own freedoms and showing who we are and why we are who we are. So there's that.
When we were preparing for this, I just want to shout out, because I told Spencer about one of my favorite Thai comedy films called the Iron Ladies, and it's about it's a true story. It's about a trans volleyball team in Thailand back in the 90s probably, and people have this misconception that Thailand is such an open place for, transgender people and for, all walks of life. But actually, if you actually understand the language and if you're really part of the culture, there were, trans people had to and still have to, really have thick skin and, just hold their head up high, amongst a lot of, difficulties that they face from other people in society. And this whole, but the thing in Thailand is that they use comedy and humor and sassy, just real strength to combat, to kind of really cut people down when they want to. And it's this really uplifting and hilarious story of a trans volleyball team who competed in the men's league and just kicked ass. Really recommend. Pony recommend. Favorite Thai comedy classic. Recommend for anyone to.
I got the link that you sent me, and I think it sounds fantastic. I have to find
it for you. Yeah.
It sounds so amazing, and it's just so uplifting, Yeah. It's just so wonderful. And as you were saying about having to be strong, we are all, we all suffer so much, on who we are, and to come out and to be strong and proud and loud about it. I mean, you don't want people to be against it. Just if you see anything like that and you feel like, well, that's not right. It's like, but just think of all the struggles that you go through with yourself.
Yeah.
And the T-shirts that you put on, that show a little bit of who you are, and that it helps you to be like, you know what? Screw you. This is who I am, badass, and to feel positive about yourself. How great is that?
And don't question me for it. Just take me as I am. I'd rather wouldn't it be nice if people were just not bothered by you than actually come up to you and have to drill you for something that is just expressing who you are. This is who I am. Let me be, and let everyone be, and we'll all be happy.
Yeah, just like you're ugly, mean, and nasty, right?
Yeah, it's just a war, it's just being truthful, okay?
Yes, exactly. And this next T-shirt, which really, I don't know truthful it is. This one's old though, but I don't know you out there who know what a ringer tee is, but a ringer tee was where the body is one color, but the rib around the neck and around the sleeves are another color. This is I'm going back to my mother again. So yes, I have mother issues, everybody. This is from what's this movie called? Now I just forgot it. With Robert Redford and Paul Newman, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, which was a movie, I think, in the 70s.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
And, about these outlaws, but they're very glamorous and, of course, super attractive fellas. And my mother always thought that my dad kind of looked a little bit like Paul Newman, which I think he actually does a little bit.
Oh,
but
nice.
Unfortunately, I did not get that gene. But it's a heavy plastisol. So, movies, of course, during those times and still do, were also making T-shirts with, for the motion picture industry so they could sell them, to watch the movies. But it's very worn out, and it's
I
dear
love the
to me.
colors. It's like this beautiful, like faded. It's all faded, so now it's this beautiful, like purpley blue ombre pink kind of print. What kind of a print is it? It's like a
plastisol.
Plastisol.
So, it was like, you can tell that this was like a heat press as well. So I'm sure the Columbia Pictures or whoever did it probably bought a ton of blank T-shirts, and then they created graphics around the movies themselves, and then they were able to, somebody heat press the graphic on whatever movie was coming out or something like that, and, but the guys are dressed in very kind of old school attire that looks like it's, I don't know, I guess back from the...
It could be like Ralph Lauren 2010.
Yes, but it could also, it could be 1910 too. But,
it could also be 1910.
Yes, but really reminds me of our family. Bargain Barn, Nirvana. How can you go wrong with a Nirvana T-shirt?
Oh, yeah. That looks like a remake, like a digital print remake. Is it? It says Buddhist Beatitude.
It was from their tour.
It's like an original one.
It has a letter that I guess he wrote. It says, Francis and Courtney, I'll beat your altar. Please keep going, Courtney, for Francis, for her life, which will be so much happier without me. Oh my God. I love you. I love you. Kurt always had a very specific way with his words, so clearly he's got this letter that he's writing about his life and to his wife and child.
And to everyone who wears this T-shirt, and to everybody who sees it being worn. Millions.
Exactly. And I mean, Nirvana was just a real inspiration for freedom and angst and, just kind of getting their thoughts out there and breaking tradition, so such a great band. I'm going to edit a couple of these because I've got sweatshirts, but this I also got from a vintage dealer. Now
this one.
This must be pretty old. It is so faded. And so gross that it's almost orange now. It must have been white.
Was it white? It might have. So it's like a off-white kind of cream-looking color. Yeah. And it says...
And the graphic says, do it clean with the gay bar. So it was clearly some gay bar that... with
a bar of soap in the middle.
Yeah.
Sudsy bar of soap.
There was that whole joke of, don't drop the soap in the shower because if you bend over, somebody's going to plug you. And then in the back it almost looks like a 1920s illustration of two men. One is on a tricycle. And the other is behind him in a little track outfit. But
I love how just strange. That's so strange. I mean, I guess I can see the relationship with the font in the front the gay bar font. It's like this like Art Deco Great Gatsby looking font. But that is so odd.
I know. And I mean, you know, and so this, when, of course, I don't know when this came, it looks like, I don't know, it must be 60s or 70s probably, but, you know, people weren't necessarily showing their true colors a ton there, but this is great just to show, hey, here I am, I'm gay. I love it.
I love that.
I have some sweatshirts. How much time do we have?
We have, probably we have time for, let's do 3 to 5 max sweatshirts.
Okay, perfect. Sweatshirts, just as interesting as t-shirts.
J'embrasse mon chien sur la bouche. I kiss my dog on the mouth.
There is sort of this Keith Haring dog at the top, and I'm a little bit of a Francophile, so I love French, and I found this at the bargain barn, and I was like, oh my God, I kissed my dog on the mouth. I mean, that is fantastic.
Is that what, tell me, like, on the tag, is it a French sweat, or is it like someone just printed French on a like a Gildan sweatshirt or something?
I don't know. The copyright or whatever is so small and illegible at the bottom. I can't really make it out. And there's no tag inside or
that just like makes it a complete mystery. I love it.
Yeah. So that is good. Also, a very cool old Adidas black oversized. I mean, it's a raglan sleeve, so sweatshirt. That's a
great size.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Big.
And Adidas itself is tightly embroidered with a white stitch, but a great little t-shirt. And this one, which is one of my favorites, my friend Michael Abbey that I was telling you about, who lived in Japan for a while. I don't know if we found this sweatshirt together. I think we used to go shopping around Tokyo and then get into fights over who saw it first and who would actually end up with it. But this is a hoodie that has the kangaroo pocket. It's cream and then sort of almost, what would you say, an apricot color?
Yeah, apricot. Good
apricot hood and sleeves, and then there's an embroidery that says "Kiss me, I'm a monkey" on it.
So
and
random.
So that just was always, it just, as an American coming to Japan, there were just so many things that kind of made sense but didn't make sense.
Absolutely.
And I loved that freedom of it just not making sense at all, really, sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not totally.
That's what we see. That's what I see so much, like living in Asia, living in Thailand, is like just, I feel like in Asia, like a lot of things are produced here and there's a lot of factories here and there's a lot of people like just going like, oh, that looks like it sells well. I'm just going to rehash this and make my own version, but I don't know what it means. But this is just like, it's when you can't read something, it just looks like a graphic, right? It just looks like, this just looks like an object. So you just slap it on a t-shirt. It looks cool because you have no idea what it says. It's like those people who get like Chinese tattoos, like white people who get Chinese tattoos and it says like something awful. You know, one of those. It's just the same idea. It's like
the one you have, right?
Yeah, the one I have. But it's just like, oh, like to you, it just looks like sticks and like little sticks, and like, you know, to us, you know, "Kiss me, I'm a monkey" just looks like yellow squiggles with an outline. You
Yeah.
know? And then you get some beautiful things that create new strange meanings that have no kind of context. They're just like mushrooms that sprouted from poo.
Right. I remember being in Japan and going into Harajuku and like seeing into these little stores, and it was like for an eraser and a pencil eraser, and it said eraser leads you to good situation, and I was like, an eraser leads you to a good situation. And, you're like, I gotta buy this because that's amazing.
Oh yeah, these little joys. I get them on the daily here in Thailand. But speaking of those little joys, I have one similar one which expresses the same kind of freedom that we just talked about. But this comes from America. So this is Jake's golf carts. So what we're looking at is like this. It looks like a hot rod T-shirt. It's got flames. It's like heather gray. It's got flames. It looks really tough. There's like metal, and there's like, it looks like, like a, really tough cart, but it's actually a golf cart shop. And it looks like they actually like hot up golf carts.
Yeah.
And they look sick. This one on the back, the golf cart has flames. It's got big ass tires, suspension, like that in itself, my friends, is a freedom to make the sickest golf cart ever and then make T-shirts about them. And this is like one of my favorite T-shirts. Literally, I feel so good wearing this T-shirt. I feel tough. I feel like unique. Yeah, anyway, that's a good feeling.
That is awesome. You can see that at like the new monster truck show,
Oh yeah. At the trade shows. Oh yeah. And I definitely want to put this cap on. This is a freedom. I'm going to put this cap on. So this cap.
Who is that?
This is Anthony Fauci's face on a cap.
But he has much more hair than he usually does, right?
So this is like my friend Max Wassler, who he's been in the menswear trade for a good while, and he paired up with Ebbets Field Flannels, who make beautiful baseball caps out of beautiful flannel made in America, and they made a Fauci cap, and they just turned it around so quick, and they did it like a few months ago, and that's a freedom. That is a real freedom. Putting Anthony Fauci's face on a cap, that's America. Beautiful.
He's not wearing a mask.
He's not wearing a mask on the cap, but you can picture him saying, "Put on a mask" when you see this cap. All right.
It's beautifully done. Beautiful.
Yeah. And then my last. Well, I have a couple, but we're going to run out of time. Okay, this glass is also freedom. It's the Kickapoo Joy Juice glass. So Kickapoo, the fact that Kickapoo soda. Do you know about Kickapoo soda? Did you? I think it came from America, actually, but it was very, very popular in Asia as a soda, especially like in the 70s. So I looked at it.
Sounds like good for constipation.
It's like, it tastes kind of like Mountain Dew kind of thing. Okay. But then I had to Wikipedia this, because like, who in God's name calls a soda Kickapoo Joy Juice? Like, what kind of brilliant person does that? And apparently Kickapoo Joy Juice was a fictional beverage coined by the American comic strip Little Abner. The cartoonist described the beverage as a liquor of such stupefying potency that the hardiest citizens of Dogpatch, after the first burning sip, rose into the air and stiff frozen as codfish. That's the Wikipedia, but that's cool. And then my last show and tell here, ladies and gentlemen, is something that, you know, this is a T-shirt that says,
"Oh, love it!
Make Capital Great Again," and it's got Mount Rushmore with Eric Kavatek and Kiro Hirata's faces photoshopped onto Mount Rushmore. So this was done for, I think it was done for the last Capital photo shoot, and they did a little party in Bangkok. This must have been 2019 because it definitely didn't happen last year, folks. And Jack, who is a friend, and he kind of distributes Capital here in Thailand. He got these awesome T-shirts made up. Isn't that wonderful?
I'll do a trade for you.
Oh yeah.
I'll do a trade with you.
Yeah. Well, I was eyeing off. What was I? We'll talk about this later. But we've got many trades.
Yeah.
But so thank you so much for showing us your freedom T-shirts and your freedom sweatshirts and expressing to us all what freedom means to you. Do you have any kind of last thoughts about what freedom is in 2021, Spencer Barksdale?
I think it really is be yourself. Challenge yourself with ideas and thoughts that others have, and how we can somehow make peace with all of those together, because a lot of us are so outspoken that we somehow need to come together as a world and really be safe with each other and realize that we're all just people, yes. And we're funny, and we have hearts, and we have beliefs, and let's not try to be too offended, and let's just, within this challenge that we've been given, let's try to enjoy life, man.
Oh yeah. Yeah, let's keep our little temper tantrums to inside our house. And then when we go outside our house, we can just be lovely, and we can be community, and we can accept people's individualities and self-expression as whoever the hell they want to be. Because that's okay. Because we had our little temper tantrums at home in the safety of whoever the hell puts up with us in our homes.
Right. And realize when you have those little temper tantrums at home, which I certainly do, and I might throw something, it generally breaks, and then I'm really pissed off. I'm like, God damn it. But then I realize, okay, so that's done. So we don't want to keep breaking shit, because it sucks.
Yeah.
So just watch and think about what tantrum is going to do to you and others around.
But it's okay. We're all weirdos, and we all should just love each other.
Exactly.
On that note, thank you so much, Spencer. It was a pleasure, and gosh, I miss you. Well, we'll see you. We'll see you soon, and well, if not in person, back on the internet.
I look forward to that, and I hope it will be in person soon.
Oh yeah. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Love you all.
Keep it going.